Good morning. Okay, so, geez, here we are today, and I want to talk to all of you, all the people around the world. Isn't it about time that we, the people, stopped all this, what I like to call Jerry Springer trailer trash on the media, with the news, the governments? I'm the wife of a man that works in intelligence, and I'm going to tell you how it really is. And I'm going to tell you the risks that my family has taken, not really taken, but been involved in. While my husband tried to do good things in this world and his colleagues. I want to talk to you about Anthony Schinella, who was a spook, and he worked for the CIA, and he's now dead as of June 14th. And I want to tell you some truth. And I want to tell you the way it really is. So, I'm not even quite sure where to begin. So, theoretically, this is how it works. There are companies that go to Washington and they bid for a seat. They represent companies, and they get up and they talk to the president or some of his constituents, and or just various people in the White House, really. It depends on the situation and what they're looking for, what they're after. And it's all about big business. It's about money. It's about creating jobs. So from that perspective, that's how it is. So right now, for example, there's a company called Raytheon. Raytheon merged with another company last year. I think it was June last year. And first, Trump wasn't too happy about it. He had concerns, and he was justified in those concerns. But Raytheon and the new company assured the president that it was going to create a lot of jobs for Americans, right? Well, if you look at Raytheon right now, Raytheon's under investigation from the SEC for improper payments due to a contract in the Middle East in a country called Qatar. And I know very well about that contract. I know what happened in the bidding process because my husband's trapped over in Qatar, and he worked for the company that was involved in the vetting and the whole process of the bidding of the different government contract companies. In this case, there were four. There's Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Airbus, and Thales. Those are the four companies bidding for the contracts. But the Qatari QAF and the Royals already had their mindset that they were going to go with Raytheon. And the reason they want to go with Raytheon is because they want to top everything they can get their hands on. And in one particular case, it's a thing called a C4I system, or the Falcon project. And what that is a command post center with a lot of computers in it, and it connects all the different aspects of military and government, police, and everything together in this central system for intelligence, basically. And so that they connect everybody so they can communicate is how it works. And that's what intelligence is all about. It's all about connecting all the people, getting them all on the same page with all the information that's collected from spying and so on and so forth, right? So that's that part of it. And Qatar is not our friend. Okay, they've been funding terrorists like Hezbollah. And what's interesting is, and I won't say this is 100%, but the majority of the percent of the people over there don't fund terrorism, the people. But the royal family is a whole different kettle of fish, because they are above the law. That's just the way it is. Royal family can do anything they want. They can kill people, they can blackmail people, they can hold people prisoner, they can do whatever the hell they feel that they want to do. Because they're above the law, because they're royal family and they're rich. And that's what it comes down to. And so I think what I'm wanting to say to everybody today is I just want to wake you up to the realities of what really goes on in this world. And I know a lot of you are pretty astute and already kind of have a grasp on how things work. And but in the situation where my husband's trapped over there, you had the QAF, which is the Qatari Armed Forces, and you got the royal family that owns the Qatari Armed Forces, right? They own the military, they own the government, they own it all. And when it came to the company called Raytheon, and then the company my husband worked for as well, and there's a man by the name on the board for the company called Digital Solar Systems, for example, that my husband worked for. There's a Tariq Fuad, who's actually a British American. I think he's a Muslim British American, actually, but it doesn't matter whether he's Muslim, Christian, or whatever. It really doesn't matter. He was 20% shareholder and owner and CEO of the company DSS, or Digital Solar Systems. He also was the CEO of the sister company, which is in cyber security type work, and that was called Aviara. So that's his part in the DSS company. Then you have a man by the name of Mr. Al-Manai. He sat on the board, and his business partner in other businesses is none other than Sheikh, or Sheik, however you want to say it, Joanne Al-Thani. Then you have Issa, who's on the board, and I'm just giving you last names. It's easier than trying to say all their Muslim names because they're quite long. He sponsored two of the other Al-Thani family brothers. So whether you want to call them front men or business partners in other businesses, whatever term you want to use, to me they were front men because the royal brothers are sort of like silent partners, right? So anyway, so what went down is there was a contract between the QAF and DSS, and that contract had ended around December time 2016. Tariq Fuad went and took a bank loan, him and Issa and Al-Manai, for the company, and kept my husband and the other directors working, because the QAF was lying through their teeth telling the board, oh, you're doing such a wonderful job, and you know, we want to keep you guys on, we're going to bring you another contract, we're going to need your consultants, you know, to help with the C4I system and all this other stuff, right? So they went out and took a bank loan to keep paying the workers, my husband and the other directors, except for they didn't give them their bonuses or anything. Well, as things progressed with the bidding process, the QAF decided that Raytheon was going to play ball with them, give them what they wanted. And part of what they wanted was they want this C4I system that's pretty much comparable to NATO. And that's what they were after. They want everything. They want the biggest and the best of everything. And then you got to ask yourself, why, if they have such a small military and we have a U.S. base, would they need such a large C4I system, right? And you got to think about that, right? Why do they need that when they only got like, what, 15,000 military total? They're not going to have enough people to run that thing. And you have to train them. They have to be taught and all this kind of stuff. And that's just one thing of all the things that they've been getting from Raytheon, right? And so that's what's going on there. Well, what ended up happening was the QAF got all the work they could get out of my husband and the other directors, and they didn't pay the $7 million they owed to the company. They didn't have a contract, and that's the fault of the CEO because he's a bit of, as far as I'm concerned, he's a flippin' idiot. I would never do work for somebody that didn't have a contract in place or at least a letter of intent, something to prove that the work I was doing was going to be paid. And Terry Fuad did that, and so did Issa, and so did Alm and I. But over there, you know, it's a lot of smoozing and a lot of lies and a lot of false promises and a lot of double talk. That's how those people function over there. You know, oh yeah, keep going. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll pay you, and yeah, you know, we're gonna use you in the future. Just keep handing over the work, right? That's what the QAF was doing. So the bill racked up, you know, over $7 million. And then there were excuses in between, the oil prices, there was Eid and, you know, all these religious holidays, and there was always an excuse why they were behind and they didn't pay their bills. And then finally, there's another Mr. Almanai, but he's actually a brigadier of the QAF, and he was over the Falcon Project, or the C4I system for the QAF, and he sent a letter that basically said, we don't have a contract with DSS. Again, that's Tarek Fuad's fault, and the board, because Tarek Fuad was the CEO, right? So that's that part of it. Meanwhile, when all this stuff's going on, Tarek Fuad and the other board directors are being real secretive about the costs and things for the contract that's being bid on for the QAF, for the C4I system and other, you know, things. Let's just say other things, other military things. And so what ends up happening is all of a sudden, even though my husband and them had contracts till December, they shut the doors back in, I think, the 1st of July, if I remember correctly, or July 2017, and, you know, my husband and them found themselves stuck over there owing debts and everything else. And there was no bonus like they were promised, you know, by Tarek Fuad now. Now, if you talk to this man who calls himself the liquidator, who they're bringing in to shut the company down, which they can't because my husband's trapped over there, so he's out of there, they can't shut the company down. He'll tell you a completely different story because he's got an agenda. Let's just say he's got an agenda. And he's not a very nice man, actually. In fact, when I was talking to him about, you know, settling things and get my husband out, back last December, he wanted me to find Tarek Fuad, and I'll tell you why he said that. Because apparently the QAF owed the $7 million and they didn't want to pay it, and then Tarek Fuad was going to the board to sue the QAF in international courts before Tarek Fuad absconded and left Qatar back in 2016, I think it was. Or the beginning, no, it was probably more like the early spring 2017. So, but meanwhile, Raytheon in the background is negotiating the deal, even though they're one of the 4 companies that are in the bidding process. And they pay a $1.9 million bribe to the board of DSS. And that's Mr. Almanai, and that's Issa. And they didn't pay Tarek Fuad out of that money that they got from the bribe from Raytheon. Now, today, if you look it up, you'll see that Raytheon's under investigation by the SEC for improper payments in the Middle East. And then the QAF found out about it and said, here's $2 million, shut up, stop suing us, or we'll go to the Emir of Qatar and we will tell him about the bribe from Raytheon and you'll go to prison. So Almanai and Issa was involved in that. Tarek Fuad wasn't involved in it because he'd already absconded and left and come back to America. So that's what's going down. That's what's happening right now. And then you have to ask yourself, what's all with this cloak and dagger crap? You know, what's with all this bribery and blackmail and, you know, all these things? Well, this is how the Middle East does their business. They want things that the U.S. governments don't allow them to have. The U.S. government doesn't allow any Middle Eastern country to have any kind of planes or weapons or anything that are the newest models. So that's just the way it is. The U.S. government regulates those things so that they can't, use them against us, basically. So that's the facts. That's the reality of the situation. And so I just wanted you to know the truth. Now, there's two parts of the situation, because recently a very good colleague and a friend of my husband's and mine, we know him very well, he died June 14th. And his name's Anthony Schinella. And he was a spook, as we call him, and he worked for the CIA. And he worked in intelligence. And Anthony was top of his game in that field. That man was so intelligent and dedicated. There's just no other way to put it. He was one of the most dedicated people I've ever met in my life. He was also one of the nicest people that I have ever met in my life. And I've met a few, but he was just top of his game. And it didn't come without cost. He had a wife and daughters, and a lovely wife, beautiful wife, and two beautiful daughters. And because of his career, he lost that marriage. And they moved on from that, and they became friends. But because of Tony's political level, I guess is the word to put it, there were certain things he was doing in intelligence to bring out information, that needed to be reported to the government so that they could work on it. So it would be in the best interests of what we call U.S.'s best interest, right? Well, the article that they're talking about that came out in the New York Times, I think it is the one about Russia funding terrorists to kill Americans. I think it was Afghanistan, or whichever country it was. I have to look it up just to tell you again, because I've forgotten already. But that was something that Tony was working on, along with a lot of other things that he was working on, things about China. Tony was half Chinese and half American, but he didn't agree with the things that China was doing, and he knew how dangerous they were. And because he and I actually talked about that back in 2012, and he talked to my husband about those types of things, because they were all in similar career paths, if you know what I mean. So anyway, come June 14th, Tony Schinella is now dead, supposedly by suicide. And he married a journalist by the name of Sarah Cochran Warner. And they were married for 2 weeks. And now he's dead. And there's a whole lot of dirty, shady stuff going on about Sarah. I've heard all kinds of stories. I heard from his ex-wife. And she claims that Sarah actually donated to a fertility clinic. And then later on, he got some information about a family that used the fertility clinic and had a son. And Sarah tried to extort money from them. Right? So, in the intelligence world, there are women that are hired to set somebody up. Okay? And in that world. And we highly suspect that Sarah Connor Warner, who I think is mentally unstable, she's what we would call a honeypot. That's the term they use, honeypot. And I think that she targeted Tony Schinella. And I think that she was trying to get information to better herself and to do somebody's bidding. I don't think, and neither does his ex-wife Ashley, there's a bunch of us that think that there was a third party involved. And then you got that news article that came out. That stuff's been out for quite a while about Russia funding terrorists to kill Americans. It's been going on for 4 years or more. But what's interesting is, because of the political climate we're in, we got the Dems, and we got the Republicans, right? And which is Trump and them. We got the Dems, which is people like Hillary Clinton, Obama, all of them, right? And so what the Democrats are trying to do is that document got leaked to the New York Times about 2 weeks after Tony supposedly killed himself. Now we all know, because we knew him really well, we know Tony wouldn't have killed himself. And if he did, it was because this woman had to have stolen some secret documents or done something really bad that Tony thought his career was destroyed because of her. What's interesting about Sarah Cochran Warner is when they got married, Tony had actually gone to dinner over at his ex-wife's house because he was good friends with her and her new husband. And he was very happy, but he was also frustrated, and he told Ashley, his ex-wife, that he was frustrated because so far since he'd been married, the only thing that Sarah Cochran Warner had done since their marriage was move some boxes in, and she hadn't moved in. And they were married for 2 or 3 weeks. They were married May 29th, and then he was dead by June 14th. Right? So, and I know that she's talked to a lot of media outlets, and she's a journalist, and she's just done everything humanly possible to bash him and to make him look like a pervert and a psycho and dangerous and all these other things. And I'm here to tell you that that man stayed in our house. That man has had dinner with us. We've known him for years, and he is none of the things that Sarah Cochran Warner is saying he is. Furthermore, Tony's children and the sort of like an executor went to the house, and Sarah talks about love letters that were on the nightstand along with handcuffs and weapons and all this other stuff that Tony supposedly put there. Those letters were looked at by Tony's children, his daughters. One of his daughters is in college, and they were emails from Ashley to Tony years ago before they were married. So just so you're aware. So there's a whole lot of lies going on coming from Sarah Cochran Warner, right? And Tony was killed in the driveway, right? We all highly suspect that there was a third person, and they made it look like a suicide. You know, because we just know Tony so well, and we just know that he wouldn't kill himself. He just wouldn't. And if he did, like I said, if that 1 second, that one chance, that 1% that he would have killed himself, he would have done it because she compromised him to such an extent that he thought that his life was over, his career was over, his pension was gone, and he would end up in court for espionage because of her. Now that's just telling you straight. We know that man really, really well. There's tons of us, a ton of the guys, because it's all like a family. It's just the boys. That's what I always called them, was the boys. And, you know, and every last one of us all agree that Tony just would not have killed himself. And he was at dinner at Ashley's house the week before, and he was totally happy. He was retiring soon. He was really happy, and he'd just gotten married a week before. So take it for what it's worth. I wanted to bring this stuff out to you. I wanted you to know the truth. When it comes to the article about the Russians, that's the Democrats. And I'm not Democrat and I'm not Republican. I just want to make that clear to everybody. I'm like a third party kind of person, and thank God I don't get politically involved, because it affords me the ability to be more objective. And when I read stuff on both sides, right? So what I have figured out is you've got Trump, who's actually, I think, pro-Russian. And that's only because I know about what's the word I'm looking for? I know about an association with a governor of a certain state in West Virginia. Let's just say that. And I know that that man played tiddlywinks with the Russians. I know there was a whole bunch of illegal stuff, and that governor was under investigation for organized crime. And they didn't get him for it, But I can honestly tell you that there was stuff going on that seriously pointed towards him colluding with the Russians. And then he's got an association to Trump. Then you've got the Democrats. Well, the Democrats are all pro-China. Seriously, read up on them. A lot of the Democrats are all pro-China because they were making all kinds of money. It all comes down to greed, and it all comes down to a bunch of money. And all of us people, you, me, and the rest of us, all of us, we are collateral damage. We lose our loved ones, and all kinds of things in this big game about money and power. And we're just a freaking Social Security number. We're not human beings as far as they're concerned. We just belong to the government corporation. And when we die, nobody gives us a second thought. And that's the truth. Nobody cares. Well, I can't really say nobody cares because my husband cared, Tony cared, Kel cared. All the boys that I knew that were working in government couldn't be bought, couldn't be blackmailed, couldn't be manipulated. They were just honest. And, when it came down to it, if there was intelligence that was not, validated, they didn't say, yes, there were mass weapons of destruction, or, yes, this dictator's doing X, Y, and Z, and yes, this is going on. They were straight up. They were honest. All them boys were honest people. So I wanted you guys to know all this stuff today. And what I also want you to know, and I don't know how the hell we're going to do it, but you can contact me, and I'll give you my email address, and it's APPTITUDE dash, not the underscore, but the dash, safety, and that's SAFETY @outlook.com. It is time we, the people of the world, stop all this bull crap. That's it. And I will be right there, right in front. And I do not care if they kill me. I'm okay with that. I'm alright. I'm Christian. If I lose the bodysuit, I'm totally cool. I'm totally good. My kids know. My grandbabies will know someday. The grandma, she was an ornery little cuss, and she did what she needed to do to make the world a better place. So that's my email address. If you're interested in the truth, the real truth, and I have documents about the QAF and all that. I have all those things. I'm a sneaky little thing. I'll tell you straight up. I'm that kind of girl. And I just want you to know the truth, the real truth. The Dems put that stuff out about the Russians, and it's because they don't want Trump to win. So you got two teams here, guys. You got the Dems, who are pro-China. You got Trump and them, who are pro-Russia. And all of us are just suckers. All of us are collateral damage. Nobody gives a shit. Just like my husband's trapped over in Qatar, and I got a GoFundMe page, and nobody gives a shit. That's just the way it is. Well, I need you people to start giving a shit, because if you love your families, you love your friends, you love everything in your life, and you're good people, then you're going to stand up and you're going to do what's right. So I think it's time that we created our own, and we put this stuff to bed. And when we take places like Qatar, for example, who's funding terrorism, and we shut the door on them, right? Russia, if Russia can't play nice, we shut the door on them. China don't want to play nice, we shut the door on them. That's just what we do. Switzerland, for example, and one of the things I really liked about Switzerland is that's what they do. Now, in the old days, there was a whole lot of terrorism funding and this and that, but that's all completely changed now. And they shut the door on everybody. And Switzerland's pretty much just one huge big bang, honestly, But they did. And that country's kept out of everything. And I know you're going to say, well, but the U.S. is the superpower, and we're the negotiator, and we're all these things, so we got to get involved. Yeah, we do when it comes to humanity. But no, we don't. We don't have to stick our nose in all these countries. We could just let them fight it out and deal with their own problems. As long as they stay off of our doorstep, let them hash out their own problems. I mean, Take Iraq and them. Supposedly our government was going over there to liberate women that were being abused and children and, all these different topics, right? But look in our own country. Look how many women are abused every day. Look about the sex trade. Look about child porn. Look at all these things that go on in America. Don't you think it's time we cleaned up our own damn backyard? Seriously. So I just thought I would bring up some true stuff, and I got paper trail, baby. I don't say stuff out of my mouth that I don't have some facts about, or some serious, verified information. So, pay for what it's worth. You got my email address. Email me. Let's get on it. Let's move. Let's take care of it now. And that's it. Let's clean house. I'm ready, because let me tell you, I'm right at the end of my rope. I've seen enough stuff to make my hair stand up, and I've just had all I'm going to take. And when Tony died, and I cried for 3 days, I'm already under a tremendous amount of stress because my husband's trapped overseas, and we need to bring him home, okay, because he is a good guy. And I'm sure you'll say, well, of course she says that because she's the wife, but I'm telling you, he's definitely an honest, straight up, good guy. That's just the way it is. He won't even lie for me. And if I'm wrong, he'll call me up on it. Trust me. It's just the way it is. So, help me with these things. Help me make change. Help me save the U.S. Help me save the world. That's what I'm asking. And let's take care of people like Sarah Cochran Warner and them. Let's take care of this clean house. Let's take care of Qatar. Let's take care of Iran. Let's take care of these countries. Let's stop them. And please, understand something while I'm on here. Just because somebody's from a country and they're Muslim does not mean they're a terrorist. I want you to understand that 150%. It's not the people that are harmful. It's the governments that are harmful. And I know I'm married to a man that worked in government. But that's what's harmful to us. It's not the people. There are lots of people that are from Jordan, from all kinds of countries that are Muslims, and some are agnostic Muslims. There are all types of Muslims, just like there are all types of Christians. And not all those people are bad. It's just the people that use the Muslim faith, for example, as a way to obtain whatever their agendas are, their goals. Same thing with Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, all that kind of stuff, right? So, and one of the big topics right now is about racism, right? Well, if you want to prove to the United States and to the world that you're not racist, right? Then pay attention to what I'm saying to you. These people that come from these other countries that move to the U.S., not all of them are nice people. People are people. It doesn't matter what their faith is or where they come from. It's just whether they're good or bad people. And I need you to understand that. And we need to unite all of us. All of us. Because we are all collateral damage. They don't care if you're Muslim. They don't care if you're from Iraq. They don't care if you're Native American. They don't care if you're French. They don't care. That's just the way it is. So we need to help each other. And that's what I'm here to ask you to do today. I have a GoFundMe page to help get my husband out. That is one of my top of my list things to do. And then, helping to solve what happened to Tony Schinella. And, bring this stuff with the Democrats and the Republicans to the forefront and stop it. Because honestly, the election is just right around the corner, and I'm supposed to vote this year, my first time to vote. And honestly, I'm not seeing a good choice. Any way you look at it. I mean, I've seen Trump do some good things. I've also seen Trump do some things that were just absolutely asinine and stupid. Because I do know what goes on in the intelligence world, in the governments. So, but then you're going to say, okay, well, if Trump's an idiot, what about the Dems? Well, look what the Dems are doing. They don't give a shit about you and me. They don't give a damn about any of us. They're using us. We're just pawns in their game. and they want to make their big dirty money. So, we can't trust them either. We can't trust any of them. That's just the way it is. So we are the people. We are what makes up the country. Same thing with the UK, same thing with Spain, all the countries. The people make the country. These people you see in Washington, they're just representatives like senators and governors and, all that type of thing. So anyway, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say to you. You've got my email. Again, it's aptitude-safety@outlook.com. So give me a buzz today. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do. I'm ready to risk my life. Of course, I'll miss my grandbabies. Yes, I will. But you know what? If it'll save their lives in the future, and I've lived half a century already, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. That's just the way it is. So, anyway, I hope that you understand what I'm saying. I tell everybody that I'm not the know-it-all. I'm just a student. You guys are students too. And you can check out what I'm saying. Like, for example, Raytheon. Just look it up and look at SEC investigating Raytheon. So, just look these things up yourself. You know about the article about Russia funding terrorists to kill Americans. That came out, the end of June? About the end of June, I think, about 2 weeks after Tony died. So, and that was supposedly leaked from some military personnel. Supposedly. And that supposedly comes from the Dems. Okay. So, and I say supposedly because I haven't gotten clarification or verification 100% on that yet. Some of the stuff I'm talking to you about, I know absolutely is 150% correct. Because there's a paper trail. And there's proof. So, I just want to clean up the damn mess. And make it safer for all of us. And I want my family back. And I want a normal life. And I want you guys to have the same thing. So there you go. Alright, well, have a blessed day.